And we're back and ready to start the first tri-meet of the season for your East Texas Baptist University Tigers. We're so excited to welcome the Bulldogs of TLU from Seguin, Texas, and all the way from Honolulu, Hawaii. We are welcoming Hawai'i Pacific University, the number 12th ranked team in the country right now.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I mean a long ways away to get here in Marshall, Texas, and if I would have to guess, probably a lot of these girls' first time probably here in Marshall, Texas, probably just Texas for that matter, but hoping they're liking the O or Nellis Gymnasium pretty well, but both teams ready to get things going, so it should be pretty exciting tonight.
And just like Jacob said, we are about to enter the first section of the meet. So the first up, it is time for the compulsory event. First up in compulsory acro heat will be Hawai'i Pacific. And that was Hawai'i Pacific with their first event in compulsory acro. And if you don't know much about this sport, the one thing you're mainly looking for is that they're synchronized.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking for. You saw how connected everybody was there. It was a very clean routine from Hawai'i Pacific, showing why they're number 12.
Yeah, and, when you think of synchronized, you think of synchronized swimming. Well, it's kind of the same thing in this aspect, but on the mat, you want everyone to be doing the same thing on that right mark. And for the most part, I think we saw that pretty well there from them out there on the floor. So the first event, compulsory, 2 groups of athletes will perform the synchronized series of acro skills, and that's going to be determined by the NCATA. So I think right off the bat did a pretty good job of that, and we'll just have to see how the other teams can bite that off and see if they can do a little bit better.
Absolutely, and just to go a little bit more into detail, this is exactly what the judges will be looking for. There is a sequence between 2 synchronized group from each team that will have to complete a toe pitch to shoulders, 360-degree back salto to ground, a straddle hold, transition to inversion, non-hand stand hold, transition to a single base non-hand stand hold, dismount to ground, switch up to extended one leg non-flexible skill, change body position to arabesque, 720-degree twist dismount to cradle. And, man, that's a lot of requirements that they are looking for. So it's almost looking for perfection. You can get 10 possible points out of this event. Now, next up in the compulsory acro heat will be Texas Lutheran.
And I think we were talking earlier, the only loss that the Tigers have, or the first meet that they competed against, was against TLU, the Bulldogs. And competing against them here tonight for the tri-meet. And both teams just trying to be as synchronized as possible here in this first event.
Absolutely. A young TLU team they have here, and just building this program. I believe it's only their 4th year.
And right off the bat, I mean, both sides are pretty similar. Right on beat, right on step. And that little flip, too. That looked pretty good from up here. What'd you see, Evan?
I'd see a couple of points deducted there. You saw just a little unsynchronized there, a little wobble right there. Great job. You see Emma Levy at Fort TLU, just strong lines and great job overall.
There we go.
So a great job by TLU overall. I did see a couple of shakiness that you're going to see some points deducted from, although pretty well altogether. I got to see them compete against ETBU last time, and it was their first meet. They did end up taking the win against ETBU, but you can see the improvement. They look just more confident out there on the mat.
Yeah, and this is the cool thing about the sport. I mean, we're seeing a bunch of schools now kind of put this into their athletics department. You know, ETBU, not too long ago, we started acro, TLU the same thing. So it's cool that schools are starting to do a little bit more like this. And, you know, we were talking, how do you describe acro tumble? You know, gymnastics, cheer, and a little bit of dance in there, all that combined. So, you know, for the folks at home not really understanding the whole thing, well, we're going to do our best to walk you through it. But, yeah, just right off the bat, I think this might be my favorite event, just seeing how everyone is matched up on both sides and trying to synchronize as best as possible. So I believe now it's the Tigers' turn coming up soon, right?
Yes, and you're going to be very shocked on how many events you will have to see synchronized throughout this meet. So we'll be seeing a lot more synchronized events. Yes, we do have the Tigers up. We have a couple new members on the team. They have a returner back with them in Jaden Stroman. So I'm excited to see how they can compete against TLU this time and now against Hawaii Pacific. We have Elizabeth Holloway and Hannah Cantrell in the air for the Tigers right now.
There we go.
Great recovery right there. A great job by the Tigers. As we saw a little bit of a stumble. And if you don't know much about this, some of these athletes are coming from completely different backgrounds. Elizabeth Holloway is a gymnastic background. You can kind of see that in her, as I know a little bit more about gymnastics, while Hannah Cantrell is used to flying in the air.
Yeah.
She's a cheerleader. She kind of does this a lot. So adjusting for Elizabeth, but she's done a great job. Only a freshman, came into ETBU not even thinking she was going to be an athlete, and here she is competing today.
Yeah, and though, I mean, we've heard a bunch of stories of that, you know, especially when acro and tumble was first brought into ETBU, you know, just trying to get as many as Tigers on board, and, you know, they went to the cheer department trying to get a bunch of cheer, and even just people that had a cheer background in high school or gymnastics and just trying to recruit them. So that is really cool how you have everyone from different sides of the sport, you know, gymnastics, dance, cheer, but you can mix that all together and be pretty good at the sport. So
absolutely, and I think they're doing a great job in just finding their way. I talked to Coach Ashton, and she just really emphasized that this year is a rebuilding year. She took back this team after she took a year away. She came back. She realized that this was her passion. She wanted to compete with these girls, and she said she's here to rebuild. She's recruiting for next season. This is the season of growth. They get to go on a mission trip later this year to Ireland, and they're so excited to serve the Lord out there. But like I said, Coach Aston is just looking into the season as a building year. They're here to build the bonds, get stronger, and build these athletes up.
And one of the things that I feel like a lot of people don't realize is those mission trips do a lot of good within the team. You know, building that team chemistry, getting close with your teammates, with your coach. So being able to do that, doing mission work is great, but also being able to get close as a team. So that should be able to do wonders for the Tigers coming up.
And next we have the Compulsory Pyramid event. The first up in the Compulsory Pyramid heat will be Hawaii Pacific. A great job by Hawaii Pacific right there. And what they're looking for in this pyramid heat is a 2-2-1 inverted pyramid. All feet start on the ground. There has to be a mid-level base that are on shoulder sits. Then the top is tossed from below, shoulders to be inverted, 2.5 high position. The dismount is a 180 pop release with a 180 twist to 2 catches. I don't believe I saw as many twists as we were supposed to. So maybe there'll be some points deducted right there.
And then, so for this acro heat, 10 points possible, right? 10 points. And then, so for the compulsory that we just saw, it was a total of 40 that you can get in that, in the compulsory. So already got done with that one, and so
we're still in compulsory. We're just
excuse me.
pyramid heat, but it's okay. We're still learning. We're still in events. We're still in event 1. So like I said, this is kind of sectioned into 6 different events that we'll see. Right now we're in compulsory, then we'll go into acro event, then we'll go into pyramid, then toss, then tumbling event, and my personal favorite is team event at the very end. And throughout this meet, points will be added up into an overall score, and that will determine the winner of this meet.
I'm sure as we go through the meet, sure the stands will get a little bit more filled up, and we do know that these meets tend to go a little longer.
Yes, absolutely. But next up in the compulsory pyramid heat will be Texas Lutheran University. Another great performance from TLU. They're pretty excited heading off the mat with that performance, and I can't complain too much either. Very synchronized together. Not much you can complain about there.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, that might get as I don't know, I don't want to say that, but like could get as perfect as it gets. You know, it was very synchronized on both sides. I liked how it was matched and it was in sync. So already kind of setting the page here are the Bulldogs. Now the Tigers have to see if they can match up to that here.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say, I mean, it probably is really cool for them to go last because you can kind of see what the other teams are doing and just kind of get a feel for it and get those jitters out and, you know what to look for and what to really hit on.
Absolutely, and I think that's the advantage of being at a home meet, and they get to have their friends and family surrounding them, and like you said, going last, getting to figure out maybe we can make some changes. We saw what this team did, and that's what worked for them, and we can make that better. I definitely agree with that. So next up in the compulsory pyramid heat will be East Texas Baptist. A great job by the Tigers. You can see the excitement. My favorite thing at meets when I'm watching the Tigers is watching Coach Ashton. She brings the energy to that team. If you ever get a chance to watch her, she's just so much fun to watch, cheer on her team. She loves her players, and she is there to support them and cheer them on.
Yeah, and I love the pride from the Tigers, too, after, getting done with their routine and just doing their rip 'em chant afterwards. You know, you can just tell how many, hours and blood, sweat, and tears goes into each thing. And, that goes on both sides, when we go around the board, Hawaii Pacific University, ETBU, TLU, And with TLU and ETBU, these are programs that are still trying to get up there. You know, haven't been around for a long time, but still trying to get their feet wet and trying to get this program lifted and get more popular here on campus. But really love what we were seeing there from the Tigers.
Yeah, and I have to emphasize what you said is a lot of people kind of don't think about what these athletes go through, kind of an underappreciated sport most of the time. But these athletes really do put so much on their bodies. You just see, I've seen some of them get into bridges and they have 3 or 4 people on top of them. I think that's one of the most insane things I've seen.
Yeah.
We'll get to see that later.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, it takes a lot of strength. You know, I can't do that. And I can't imagine doing that. Can't imagine doing flips. I can't imagine like holding someone up in the air like that. So I mean, really hats off to these girls because I know that if I was down there, I would either break something or break somebody.
Absolutely.
So they make it look easy. That's for sure.
Yeah. So now we're on to our third heat of the compulsory event, and it is the toss. First up in the compulsory toss heat will be Hawaii Pacific. Okay, Bumpus, so to break this down for you, what the judges are looking for is height.
Yeah.
And what did you just see right there? That was some pretty good height right there.
Yeah, that was some really good height. And so now trying to get a feel for it. So you got to – and as we see the Tigers warm up on the other side, you know, they're trying to get ready for that as well. But height will definitely do it. I really do like how with Hawaii Pacific, how, you know, they're going first. So they kind of set the tone for each event, you know. And – you know, with the Bulldogs, they'll be next, so they kind of have an advantage. But with the Tigers, they're last. They can watch what everyone does. And if you see a slip up, you know, before you go out there as a team, you can make those changes and see what the judges will be looking for. But this is really a drastic change. You know, on the other ones, you were trying to match up and, you know, a lot of technique. But this one, I feel like it's a lot more power. You know, you're trying to hit that mark, get high. So this is a little bit of a switch up, but I'm liking it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So next up in the compulsory toss will be Texas Lutheran. So again, what they'll be looking for is a 1 present basket toss performed by 2 synchronized groups from each team. There will be 2 synchronized back tucks, 4 base tossing, 1 flyer, and 2 groups.
Yeah, I mean, height looks pretty good, synchronized as well.
A little bit of a slip on the landing.
Yeah.
You saw just a little bit. That could take off some deductions. You're not really supposed to move and be synchronized. So let's see what the Tigers have. I know that the Tigers have been trying to up their levels. Again, this is 10 points possible. So right now, I think the Tigers, their best plan of action is to get as many points as they can in this compulsory event.
Now, when we talk about, you know, slip-ups and maybe just a little shakiness and stuff like that, the judges, you know, how many points are we looking? You know, maybe just with like a little slip or just like a little hesitation or –
I'd say point something.
Point something. So nothing major. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Especially with that performance from TLU, I wouldn't expect anything under an 8. Again, I'm not a professional judge here, but a great job. But next up in the compulsory toss event will be East Texas Baptist. A great job by the Tigers, a little unsynchronized. Yeah. There's definitely going to be some points taken off there. However, great job by them. And you just see those 2 athletes consistently, and I'm going to consistently just shout them out because they're working so hard this season. I personally got to witness it, is Elizabeth Holloway and Hannah Contrell, just one of the 2 flyers, 2 most consistent flyers on the team, and they're put to work the whole meet. Yeah,
and I mean, as we mentioned earlier, I mean, it really – hard to understand just how much work and effort someone puts into this sport, you know, and how you train, you know. I mean, I think that all speaks a lot when you go and get on the mat. But these girls together, I mean, they look like a pretty tight-knit team. but just a lot of work, a lot of effort goes into it, and you can't do this sport without putting in the work. There's no doubt, because a little lack of experience could be the difference between someone getting hurt or not. So it is a big safety thing, no doubt, and everyone is just locked in and trying to do their best.
Absolutely. So now we're going to head into the final heat of the compulsory event, which will be the tumbling heat. First up on compulsory tumbling heat will be Hawaii Pacific.
And Hawaii Pacific, once again, has a chance to set the tone and really come out strong.
I think they're doing so far.
Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, already a really great start from them.
Yeah, I'm sitting here kind of speechless right now.
See if they can finish it off. I mean, from start to finish, synchronized amazingly. Even with their little shoulder shrugs, I mean, I feel like everything was in beat with their whole entire team.
Yeah.
I think that's how you set the tone, no doubt. That's going to be hard to follow up.
Absolutely, and I just don't know how else to describe. They're so light on their feet. You couldn't even hear their bounce. You could tell they're smooth. It's like they have a little bit of finesse with it. Now let's talk a little bit about what the tumbling heat involves. So there's going to be 4 present skills performed by 8 athletes from each team. No changing athletes between compulsory events. Athletes must be positioned in windows like we just saw from Hawaii Pacific. And the skills that will be performed in the following order: a standing tuck, a toe touch tuck, handspring tuck, and a round off handspring layout from left to right in 2 lines. And like I said before, and I just want to mention this, we are looking at a little bit smaller of an acrobatics and tumbling team from East Texas Baptist than Hawaii Pacific and TLU. So I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to work out, because I know they have a lot more tumblers on these 2 teams than Tigers. Yeah,
and with the sport, I mean, there are people that, specialize in certain areas, right? Some people that can fly in the air really well, and then you got the people holding up at the base. So, when you have a big team, you have a lot more areas where people can specialize in, but also do other things as well.
Absolutely, and I feel like with ETBU, they specialize so much in power. They have the great bases and everything, but now we are still in the compulsory tumbling heat, and next up is the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs. They will send 5 out to compete.
Yeah, first flip looked pretty synchronized.
Out there is Nadia Roberts, Glenna Crafts, Emma Levy, Phoenix Cosley, and Claire Couples. Or I'm sorry, not Emma Levy, number 20, Grayson Bunch.
See if they can finish this off on a good note here.
A good job by the Bulldogs. A little bit of a stumble there at the end. They started off strong. They're going to automatically lose points just by having 5 athletes out there.
Yeah.
You do lose points as you don't follow the rules. And like I said, it is supposed to be 8 athletes from each team.
So you already know that the Bulldogs, they know that might not be their strength, so they're going to try and conserve that in other areas. So it'll be interesting to see if they really capitalize on the other events going down, where they know what they can really do good in and where they have those numbers. And but right now, I mean, Hawaii Pacific, that might have been probably one of their best. I mean, they do look like they are a really rounded team, really rounded group. But like you said, just really light on their feet, and when they're able to tumble and fly in the air, it really kind of seems like where they're best at, where, with ETBU, strength might be more of their core.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Hawaii Pacific is coming here with an 0-1 start in their season. They just played, I'm sorry, it was in February, a while ago, actually. It's been a while since they've had a meet, over a little bit less than a month. February 11th was their last meet, and they took a loss. So the number 12 team, every single team in this meet is coming in with at least one loss, as TLU suffered a loss to Mary Hardin Baylor this past Monday.
Yeah, and the Tigers, especially in front of the home crowd, they want to set things off and get a win under their belts. Already losing in that first meet coming against the Bulldogs, so this is a good chance to just kind of get back into it. Shrug it off your shoulders and just show the Bulldogs that you're back in this. And, it is really interesting when you are doing a tri-meet. You're not just watching the team across the mat. You got to watch the team across the corner as well with Hawai'i Pacific out there with the Bulldogs and then the Tigers. So for the people back at home, this, for a usual meet, it's just two teams. But this is kind of a nice treat for us to see three competing at once.
Yes, and Hawai'i Pacific, a special treat coming all the way from Hawaii down here to Marshall, Texas. I know that is not a short flight, that is for sure, but just someone who is willing to come out here and compete and let these programs grow. They've been around a little bit longer with their program, so growing the sport as they come down here.
And for this Hawai'i Pacific team, and we're talking about players that are all over the place. I mean, some California, Canada, Hawaii. There is a Dallas, Texas, number 2, Gracie Hinkle from Dallas, Texas. So that's awesome. But Las Vegas, North Carolina. I mean, this Hawaii team is
Canada.
Yeah, Germany too. I mean, wow. So we're seeing just a group of people just coming together and just connecting, and because when you got the Bulldogs and the Tigers, they're both set in Texas, so you're gonna have a lot of Louisiana, Texas, down south players. I'm sure right off the bat you have a lot of connections. Now with a team that are full with a couple Canadians, Germans, and people from Hawaii and just all over the United States, that's definitely going to be tough to find connections. But just right off the bat, Hawaii you wouldn't even know with the way that they're connecting and synchronizing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's also the beauty of college sports and just – oh, well, it looks like East Texas Baptist will not compete in the compulsory tumbling heat, so they will take the scratch on that.
And that was I'm glad that you brought up that point that that's what, TLU, they only had 5. You needed 8, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
And you were saying that, there are some things that a team is really strong at, and ETBU is just trying to go into more of that strength category, some of those events that they can really pound off with that strength. And that is going to hurt a little bit. And, of course, the Bulldogs, they had some points taken off. But right now, Hawaii, man, able to hit each of those events pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. So now with that being said, we will head into the next event, which is the acro event. This marks the beginning of the optional portion of the meet. Each team will compete with skills previously chosen with different possible start values. There will be between 2 to 4 athletes on the floor in each of the 3 heats and as many as 8 in the synchronized heat. Heat 1 has 5 elements, Heat 2 has 6 elements and is synchronized, Heat 3 has 7 elements. The start value is determined by the difficulty and combination of each skill. Each position must be held for 3 seconds. The officials will be looking for body position of the top, stability for the base, and continuality of the skills. This event demonstrates strength, power, and balance.
Yeah, and right now they're going through the scoring for compulsory. And as both of those scores are getting up there, you're hearing the cheers. So for the acro event, Hawaii put up a 9-10. TLU put up 9, and then 680 there for the Tigers. And so we'll, as we get those scores back, we'll announce them as well. But look like Hawaii did a really strong right off the bat in TLU, and the Tigers trying to get on that mark as well. But we do have the official scoring here back with us, so we'll hit one team at a time. So the Tigers first event put up 6,800, and that was for the acro heat. And then for the second event, which was the pyramid heat, they put up a 9,300. So, and then on the third heat, the toss heat, they put up a 9,150, And, of course, in the tumbling heat, just they put up a 0 because they weren't able to compete. So a total of 25 points. So as we're getting some instructions by the PA announcer, we'll go with Texas Lutheran University for the first event. 9 points there for TLU. Second event, 9,700. Third event, 9,850. And fourth event, 5,150 for a total of 33,700 points. And as Hawaii will wait to get their score after they're done with this next event.
This is Hawaii Pacific with a start value of 9.67 in the first heat of 5 element.
Just look at the strength right there to stay in control.
That was.
And you can tell just based off the team reaction, the crowd reaction, and
yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I've never seen that before. Wow. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what fifth element is going to bring. So like I said, the 3 heats will construct of the acro event, where each team sends a maximum of 4 athletes, which we just saw, to compete the acro sequence, 2 counts of a maximum of 45 seconds. Athletes must compete a required number of skills in each event. Timing begins with the first movement. Exceeding the 45 seconds will result in a time deduction. In each heat, teams must attempt all required number of elements in addition to the required skill. The required skill counts as an element. So like we said, we just started 5 element here with Hawaii Pacific. They started out with a 9.65 value, pretty high value.
Yeah.
You have 10 possible points they could go for.
Yeah.
And I really can't see why they didn't go for 10.
Yeah, and real quick, after the first event, let's just go ahead and do Hawaii Pacific University. So after that first event, all those heats, Hawaii Pacific is looking at 36,350. And then Texas Lutheran University, 33,700, so just below Hawaii Pacific University. And the Tigers right now in last, 25,250. So just setting the page.
All right, and then next up in the 5 element will be Texas Lutheran with a start value of 10.
And there we go. Wow.
Wow.
Displaying a lot of strength. I can only imagine how hard her triceps are burning right now. Oh, goodness.
And look at Coach Cam, a young coach for TLU, so hyped up with her team. And how can you not be? A start value of 10. You saw the layout. You saw that extra element that made their start value a 10. That's going to be pretty hard to beat right there.
I mean, you know, like we said earlier, I mean, these girls make it look easy, but it's not. I mean, me and average Joe can't just go out there and do those things that they're doing. So it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of just competing and experience. But, I mean, you got to be, you know, pretty fit and strong to do the things that they were just doing. So, oh, my goodness, that just hurt watching. That just looked pretty good. I could never do that.
Yeah, a local hero in number 20, Grayson Bunch from Georgetown, Texas, not too far from Seguin, Texas, showing out for her school. That was absolutely insane, just from the layout to the inversion. Great job from TLU.
Yeah, and I think right off the bat, you know, Hawaii Pacific University trying to set the pace, but for the most part, I'd say the Bulldogs were pretty close up there.
Yeah, that kind of pulled them, in my opinion, in the lead a little bit.
And now we'll see if the Tigers, now we know in the scoring they're a little bit behind, but we just got to find those heats and those events that they have a lot of strength in.
Absolutely, but coming up with a start value of 8.5 is your East Texas Baptist University Tigers.
Trying to stay sturdy there, doing a good job.
a great job right there. Like we said, a little bit lower of a start value, so you didn't see as more technical difficulty or technical
advancement.
Elements right there. But Eva Dickens coming in and showing out, giving the other two flyers a little bit of a rest and showing what she's coming from. She comes from a gymnastics background as well, and just didn't come into this year thinking she was going to be an athlete too, and has come out and proved that wrong for her team.
Yeah, and that's what I like about this sport. I mean, it brings in a lot of opportunities to be an athlete at the collegiate level, here in D3. So that's also really cool, and being able to do that and make friends and teammates and have those connections with your coach. So that's awesome for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I know we've talked so much about the Flyers, and then we also have to talk about the bases. Gracie Siegel, a graduate student, a cheer background. This is her first year with Acro, coming in to help Coach Ashton, and that's just the type of environment Coach Ashton brings. She wants these athletes want to come work for her and want to put in that extra time. Gracie is the only graduate on the team, but came in because Coach Ashton needed her, and that's the type of people she has behind her.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you have your team kind of go up with the coach and everyone's on the same page and everyone's they're locked in, they know what the coach wants from them, and the players are all in sync. So that usually makes for a pretty strong team and a team that is close and wants to compete hard. So
yeah, I've gone a lot of time with Coach Ashton, just gone to speak to her, traveling with this team and everything, and you just see the fight in her. I've really enjoyed watching Coach Cam over there for TLU too. She's a young coach, same age as Coach Ashton, and you just see these two growing the sport together.
Yeah.
So next, the second heat of the acro event will be 6 element. First up with a start value of 10.0 is Hawaii Pacific. Looks like Hawaii Pacific just a little off right there. They have some room. They have some cush. They have a bit of a lead.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the first time that we have seen them struggle just a little bit.
Yeah.
But now trying to clean up the back half of it and try to finish strong.
So not the strongest event we've seen from Hawaii Pacific. And like you said, this is the first time we've seen it. This is the first time we've seen them budge. You saw them get a little shaky in the beginning. They recovered pretty nicely, but they have some room right there with that 10 start value. They also have a little bit of the lead right now, but they have to watch out. TLU is coming in right behind them, and they are coming strong.
Yeah, and the good thing about TLU, they go out there after Hawaii Pacific. So you saw that. You saw maybe the little slip up. So as a team, you got to keep that composure. You got to know what not to do, and you got to capitalize on it. Try to stay strong and not do those slip ups. And if you can do what the other team did wrong and do that right, then you can see maybe a little bit more leeway. Maybe things kind of turn to the way of the Bulldogs here.
Yeah, they kind of have to take that as a boost of confidence of this is their time to attack now if they want to take the lead for this meet. Like I said, they did just have a tri-meet this Monday against 2 ranked teams. This is the 3rd ranked team they're taking on just this week. So they could walk away here with a ranked win if they are able to attack.
Yeah, so just a lot of opportunity for the Bulldogs here, just trying to capitalize and do their thing. But, we saw Hawaii Pacific, kind of slip up there just a little bit, but that just kind of goes to show, and same thing that we're kind of talking with the Tigers, there's heats and events that everyone is on the same page. That is your where you're putting all the chips in. You're going all in because that's your best, and that's what you can really compete in. So that's just the name of the game. You just got to find what you're good at and just kind of do your best on it. And with Hawaii Pacific, that last heat, not something that they look like is their strength, but we'll just have to see how the Bulldogs can respond. And then the Tigers, as the last team to go, they have a lot of time to reflect and just kind of put things together before they go on.
Absolutely. I'm excited to also see how Hawaii Pacific returns from their mistake. Like we said, it was their first one. So let's see how they can jump back and how these teams respond to this mistake. This is a huge moment for the Tigers as if they keep seeing these errors, they have the chance to come up in the rankings as well. Well, next up with a start value of 9.05 is your Texas Lutheran Bulldogs.
And this is where things get a little bit more exciting because you know that they have to capitalize and be on that mark and be pretty close to perfect. A little shakiness there on the left side.
They'll lose some points right there for some added hands and support. A good response from the Bulldogs. However, again, we saw the shakiness.
Yeah.
It looks maybe like this might not be the strongest event for these teams. We saw they came out and absolutely exploded, but maybe this isn't it for them.
Yeah, and I think this is where, you know, a lot of strength, a lot of core is going to help the best team win in this heat. So, and as we know, the Tigers, they specialize in that strength, in that core. You know, Hawaii Pacific, flying, you know, being acrobatic, being up in the air. TLU kind of looks like they're a combination of strength and being able to fly. They're a good balanced team. But Tigers, from as we know, the background, all strength. So this is, I think we can agree, this is a part where they really need to capitalize on and show off that strong display that they have. So
absolutely, and like you were saying, I mentioned this earlier, is this event is actually described to demonstrate power, strength, and balance. So this is the perfect time for the Tigers to strike. So then next up in the acro event with six element will be East Texas Baptist. We're just waiting on their time.
But already, I mean, the good thing is Tigers had chance to watch everything. They saw some slip-ups, and, you know, in your mind, I'm sure there's still some jittery stuff because you said, well, you know, these two teams before us, you know, they're doing pretty good, but they messed up too. So you just got to block that out. You have to have a clear mindset and just know, hey, this is when we can show everyone how it's done. So you just got to remember all the practices and all the hard practices and the hard work that you put in.
Yeah,
this is where it all is displayed.
Absolutely. With a start value of 8.4 is your East Texas Baptist University Tigers.
And here we go. Let's see if they can finish this off strong and put it up on a good note. That last part, yeah.
That was a great job, and you see the excitement, and I'm going to shout her out. Of course, that's Carly Spears coming into this role this week. She got put into that role this week. A member went down, and Carly Spears had to step up, and that's why you heard everybody cheering for her. You saw Kaylin almost running her over with excitement. Just great job right there.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that, and I think no doubt finishing it strong on a good note there, the Tigers, and you know, it'll be interesting to see how each part is scored.
Absolutely, definitely different elements that each team brought, And like we said, this was a little bit lower of a start value for the Tigers, but they performed overall altogether better than the other two teams. So a great job, and they can't be anything but proud right now.
Yeah, the sturdiness was really good. I like the displays of strength and the core as well. So I think we didn't see any too, big mess ups where, you have to restart or you got to regain composure. So just right off the bat, nailed it on that mark, as we saw the two teams maybe struggling on that a little bit. So already, you got to chalk that up as a win, that you didn't have to restart or just kind of regain that composure.
And now we are in Heat 3 of this event, and it will be 7-element. First up with a start value of 10.0 is Hawaii Pacific.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. You saw a little shakiness in the beginning, but she finished great. And that's the second person on that team I've seen do it. That's a different person.
Yeah.
So this team is just full of flyers and strong athletes.
Yeah, I mean, that's and judging for us up here, you can just kind of tell, I mean, how they're able to execute just based off the chairs, and just, you can just kind of see how the coaching staff and how the players, are reacting if they're able to mark it and just really hit that mark and really nail it. And with all those cheers, you can tell that they did a pretty good job, and they hit it pretty similar as to how they rehearsed it.
Absolutely. Well, 10 start value, and it's going to be pretty close. We had a couple of shakes. It's not going to be perfect, but an overall great finish. I also would like to point out we didn't see an ending. It just kind of it just ended.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was kind of a shock, and they were surprised they hit it themselves, but a great job from Hawaii Pacific.
Yeah, now if you're TLU, I think a lot of it in this sport, you're kind of seeing what the other team does before and try maybe making some adjustments right before you go on. And as you said, didn't really have much of an ending, so just got to make sure that you can kind of add that if that's something that you can do. So we'll see if maybe the Bulldogs have that.
And then next up with the start value of 10.0, again, is Texas Lutheran University.
Pretty smooth transition to get up there.
A great job from the Bulldogs, but if you've been watching East Texas Baptist, Acro and Tumbling, you know exactly why. That is a ETBU transfer, Brianna Brown, and just doing exactly what she's used to doing here.
Yeah, of course, and it is something to be said, coming back to the old stomping grounds, and being able to compete where you used to and all that. But overall, I think that was pretty solid there. Good displays of strength and core there from the Bulldogs, and now the Tigers will have a chance to be the anchor and see if they can finish off strong and in a place where they are pretty good with that strength category. So
yeah, absolutely. Coming in again with a little bit lower of a start value than both teams. We saw a little bit of wobbleness from Hawaii Pacific, but it will still be pretty close to a perfect score. Next up, with a start value of 8.65, is East Texas Baptist University.
You got Holloway out there on top. You know, I think in those kind of parts, you know, when you do have those little slip-ups and stuff like that, I mean, I think for a lot of athletes, it's easy to just kind of go ahead and chalk it up and, you know, just kind of throw in the towel. But in these kind of events and heats and stuff like that, you got to keep on going. And I think that's what the Tigers did pretty well. You know, you got to – in most sports, we talk about, you know, you have to have a short memory. You know, if you're playing baseball, you miss a grounder or a pop fly, you got to move on. You know, you got to have a short memory. You got to keep on going. Same thing goes for this sport, this meet. And I think the Tigers just kept on going. I think that's what is going to be good for them.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a disconnect right there. It felt like between the flyer and the base. Other than that, Kaylin and Elizabeth both pushed right through. They showed their strength pushing through, but that will complete our acro event. And while we're waiting for the combined results for this event and our meet standings, let's introduce the next event and pyramid event. The pyramid event will be our final event in the first half. In the pyramid event, athletes will build 3 layers in a structure. The start value of each heat is determined by the difficulty and the combination of the entry, structure, and dismount. The pyramid event has 3 different heats with different requirements for each heat. Heat 1 must have an inversion. Heat 2 must be synchronized, and Heat 3 is an open heat. Key things the officials will be looking for are hold by the top for 3 seconds following the entry, stability of the structure, and a smooth dismount that ends with either a catch or a landing. So we're one event away from your first half of your acro and first ever acro and tumbling meet. How are you feeling?
Well,
Jacob?
I mean, listen, I just feel a little jealous and a little insecure that I can't do that. I mean, they make it look really easy. I mean, seeing everyone fly up in the air, I mean, I have to be truthful. You know, I wish I could do that, and I wish I could do the things that everyone else is doing. But overall, you know, both teams just making it look really easy, and just the way that you have to hold another human being in the air, you know, and just how everyone just makes that look so natural. I think that's really cool. Something that is just kind of hard to wrap my mind around. But both teams are just doing a great job, and Hawaii Pacific, no doubt. We know that they're nationally ranked, so they're going to have a little bit of an edge, but I really like what we're seeing from them. TLU, though, TLU right out there, the Bulldogs, they're trying to go head-and-head, and the Tigers as well. Just got to compete, just keep on going.
Yeah, I'm loving the fight from the Tigers. You have not seen them give up. Yes, their start values are a little bit lower. This is their rebuilding year, but they're still here competing against 2 great programs right now. And I'm really excited for you to see this event in particular because I think you're going to see the true strength here of some of these athletes. This is where we kind of get to see the bridge and kind of my favorite part of the event altogether. And I believe the scores are in for the acro event. So please direct your attention to the video board.
So TLU actually getting on that mark and winning the 5 element. So Texas Lutheran coming out and being in the lead there in the event. Now we're going to look at the totals. 61.40. TLU just 1 point behind. The ETBU 46.70. So as we were talking about, I mean, Hawaii Pacific and TLU going head-to-head. So really liking that from them.
Absolutely. Tigers not too far behind. I love the improvement. Like I said, I got the chance to travel down with the Tigers to go to TLU, and a lot of improvements so far in this event.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Now it's time for Pyramid Heat 1, the inversion pyramid. First up with the start value of 10 is Hawaii Pacific.
Yeah, and right off the bat, that will be some deductions, but let's see if they can.
That'll be a huge deduction for Hawaii Pacific. That is not what they needed right now, especially with Texas Lutheran edging really close to them.
And I was really interesting to see how they were going to finish that and if they were going to try and keep that energy going. But after, that little slip up, and that will, as you said, will take some points off. But trying to see if we can keep that energy going and still, have that aggressiveness, kind of like how the Tigers do, even after a mess up or something like that, they still do their chant loud and proud. So I was trying to see if they could still, finish that on a strong mark. But as you said, TLU right behind them, so you got to be perfect if you're Hawaii Pacific.
Absolutely. And again, I want to emphasize this event can have 10 possible points, 30 altogether for the pyramid event. For Heat 1, 10 possible points. Inversion, all they are looking for is an inverted top position with a minimum of a 90-degree twist. So if you did not know what they're looking for, Hawaii Pacific would have to get on top of all four of them upside down and then back down with a twist. So Hawaii Pacific did not follow through with that, so they will lose a lot of points with that.
And now it'll be up to TLU. And, it's really cool that, right now in the scoring you have Hawaii Pacific. They're the first team that goes on the mat. Well, they're actually in first right now. And then you have TLU. They're second. They go right after, and they're second in the scoring. And then third, and Tigers in last. But when you're right now second in scoring and you go right after the leading team and they make a mistake like that, and we talked a lot about this, but this is when you know what you got to do. You can't slip up. So for the Bulldogs, you got to be perfect, especially if you want to get those points and create a gap.
And let's see what they have to respond to them with a start value of 10 is Texas Lutheran.
Let's see how they start this off and if they can keep it going.
Starting in that bridge like I told you about, Bump.
Oh, yeah. Just right off the bat, you can tell just how difficult this is. I had some good hang time there, yeah?
Yeah, that was great. So they're looking to have that 3-second hold at the top, and I'd say that was it right there.
Yeah.
Great response from TLU. A 3-person pyramid for an inversion. That's a pretty hard thing to do. I think that's one of the first times I've seen that.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is I'll say it, first time really watching this event. So anything that's being done is going to surprise me, but I'm glad that someone like you who've seen this sport a lot, and that surprises you, so that's good.
Yes.
But
so you gain some points if they do that bridge. So there's only one person. Usually there's 2 people holding it down at the bottom. So in that time, it was only one.
And that makes it even harder.
Yes, even harder, and I think that is one of the coolest things that I've witnessed. I tried to do that, and I failed. I failed very bad.
Well, I think you and me would be in the same boat for sure. But I mean, that's exactly how we wrote it up and what we're trying to say. Bulldogs had to be perfect. That was pretty close, and being behind Hawaii Pacific, I think they nailed on everything that they needed to do. So
absolutely. Now, next up with a start value of 9.6 is your East Texas Baptist University Tigers.
Got the whole team counting there on the sidelines for the Tigers. Everyone invested.
So they will lose extra points for the hold in the back.
And that was close on the 3. Did you?
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good?
I think that was 3. That was 3. You see, again, I hope the camera is showing Coach Ashton just the excitement. She was jumping up and down in heels. Hopefully she doesn't get hurt over there. But that was a great job. The team came together after, like I said, I wanted to see how ETBU responded from that last fall.
Yeah.
They responded well. Kaylin and Liz Elizabeth came back together to work together and just showed out.
Yeah. And you got to think, I mean, especially, right here, there was no, complete mess up or fall down or stuff like that like Hawai'i Pacific had. So you got to think, good chance to maybe get some points and try to climb back into this.
Yeah, if you see the top dog fall, it's your time to attack. So that's exactly what the Tigers did.
Yeah, so that's awesome from them. And, I just really like the whole head-to-head race with Hawai'i Pacific. You got the Bulldogs and the Tigers, just everyone trying to just one-up each other. And that's really what it is here in this sport. Something that I've noticed is just trying to do what the other person does better, and do it a little bit more slick and synchronized. And just right now, I think every team in a different event or a different heat has been able to capitalize on that in their own different ways.
Absolutely. And speaking of synchronized, we're about to head into a synchronized heat. For heat number 2, we will move into the synchronized pyramid. First up with a star value of 10 is Hawai'i Pacific.
And it'll be really interesting here for Hawai'i Pacific, after that slip up in the last heat there, to see if they can just kind of compose themselves. And like we said, you got to have a short memory, just like any sport. You got to keep on going, and let's see if they can start strong, go throughout the middle strong, and finish it strong as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the response from Hawai'i Pacific now.
Synchronized pretty well there to get on top.
Good response from Hawai'i Pacific. You can see the excitement. They're a little bit more pumped up now. They know they have something to make up for.
Yeah.
So you can see that aggression in them. Even the steps were synchronized. A great job and a great response.
Yeah, that was a great bounce back. No doubt about that. Like you said, I mean, kind of knew what they had to control and do a little better job on, and just showing that strength and trying not to slip. And there was no slips. Good display of strength. And so I don't think we'll see any huge deductions or anything like that, anything with multiple points coming off. So now if you're the Bulldogs, you're going into this, you have to be a little bit more, I guess you kind of have to compete a little bit more now, because after Hawai'i Pacific put up a pretty good show right there, you got to go right up and hit that at a tee, or go beyond that.
Absolutely. They do have a little bit of an advantage after that fall, and with a great performance in the first heat. But they're coming with a little bit lower of a start value than Hawai'i Pacific. So they will start with a start value of 9.90. And they are heading onto the mat, and that is Texas Lutheran.
And we already know that this is a neck-and-neck race, and we saw in the last scoring update between the Bulldogs and Hawai'i Pacific. So let's see if they can capitalize.
They're going to go for the double bridge right now in their pyramid. You saw how well they did it in their inversion pyramid, so they're going for synchronized.
And that's pretty big, right?
Pretty big.
Risky move. Let's see if they can hit it. Ball's looking pretty good.
And that's a great response back to Hawai'i Pacific. again, you just have to watch these coaches reactions. They're
Yeah.
so fun. They're so funny. You see the big personalities in Coach Cam over here from TLU and Coach Ashton. I haven't seen too much from Hawaii Pacific's coach over there, so I haven't mentioned her as much, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of it is, your team is going to reflect your coach. If your coach is fired up and just passionate and loves the sport, love the kids, your team's going to reflect that. And I think right now we're seeing that from the Bulldogs. I mean, if you got a passionate coach, your team's going to be passionate. If your coach is skilled and just has a smart mind for the game and for the meets, your team's going to reflect that as well. And I think that was, like you said, going with that double bridge, right? Risky, but it does pay off. And I think all things considered, worked out for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's see how the Tigers respond. Next up with a start value of 9.50 is East Texas Baptist University.
And what we love about these Tigers are the energy that they bring. So that's going to be huge to cap off with. And there you go. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was great job by the Tigers. Nothing to complain about there. Great job. They did what they needed to do. A little bit lower start value. Sometimes starting with a little bit lower start value, you have more time to perfect everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's kind of hard to, if you want to pick things out, you got to go really small and look into the little things. But overall, really, really good competing against the two other teams. And I think that's really a couple of the first times here tonight where you see the Tigers really thrive and kind of give the other two teams a run for their money. So I love to see that.
Absolutely. I do believe this is one of their strongest events as a team altogether for the Tigers. Now, next up, we're about to head into the third and final heat of the pyramid event. We're about to head into open pyramid. This is kind of a fun one. You're about to see a different one. This is open pyramid. Any pyramid may be competed as long as it is different than the previous two heats. So now it's time for Pyramid Heat 3, the open pyramid. First up with the start value of 10 is Hawaii Pacific.
And there's something that I've noticed about them. Their start points and all that has been pretty high for almost every single event, every single heat.
Just expecting excellence almost out of the athletes.
Yeah. And when you're nationally ranked too, that just kind of goes into play. So
yeah, going with the bridge for the first time here for Hawaii Pacific.
Good raise up top. Looks pretty good.
Oh.
Yeah, and you hate to see that. And
I think we are going to go on commercial break, and we'll be right back here with updates. And we're back here, Tigers. After taking a little bit of a break, we are back into open pyramid. Everyone is okay and off the mat. We will now continue and pray for any athletes that were injured throughout this meet.
Yeah, and like we said, things happen. You just got to move on and pray that there wasn't any injuries, and then just have a short memory, because I think things like this, when stuff kind of goes south, it's easy to throw in the towel, and that happens with any sport, football, basketball, baseball, what have you, just straight up cheer competitions. You just got to keep on going, and I'm really excited to see how Hawaii Pacific kind of bounces back on their next set. So
absolutely. Next up on the mat with a start value of 10 to respond to this is Texas Lutheran.
Yeah, and a good chance for them to try and get some good points and try to keep on going neck and neck and maybe pull out in front. We'll have to see after the overall scoring, but looking close.
And starting off on a bridge yet again. I think they bridged every single pyramid.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to help them out if they can pull it off. Up at the top, looking good.
Beautiful job by TLU.
Yeah, I mean, I was we didn't see any slip ups. It was pretty close to perfect. Not a lot of shakiness either.
No.
I think, like you said, or like we said before, you'd have to go down to the little things to try and pick that apart. But overall, pretty smooth.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are 3 core members of the team that I've just seen continuously produce for TLU in these past 2 meets. Phoenix, you see her bring the energy. She was the base, she was the bridge, and then Brianna Brown, we've seen her do what she does for years. She's so strong, and then having that connection with a flyer like Emma Levy really helps them out in that. Now next up for the final event in Open Pyramid with a start value of 9.6 is East Texas Baptist.
And I think right now, I mean, as long as you get things together and you have it all pretty smooth and you're able to continue the whole thing, I think that's going to be big for the Tigers to get some good points.
I think they really have a chance right now to come in and maybe even take second place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no doubt. The lift looking good. Not a lot of shakiness.
No, great job. A great job by the Tigers yet again. Solid, a little bit lower of a start value, but this can pay off for them. And like I said, sometimes taking away some of that start value helps in the long run.
Yeah, it does, no doubt. And, we didn't see, the tower, fall apart or the pyramid or anything like that. And I think that's already just a really good start. And, TLU probably got one there on that heat. And then the Tigers probably close behind. No doubt about that.
Absolutely. So that is the conclusion of the pyramid event, and we'll now take a break for halftime. Join us back at the arena with 3 minutes remaining on the halftime clock. We have 15 minutes starting now for the pyramid event scores and the introduction of toss event. These athletes are not ones to mess with. They come, they work so hard, they're so strong. They're, like I said, they're underrated at most schools. They're new and everything. So, and we're seeing Hawaii Pacific and TLU getting a little pumped up with a dance off on the sidelines.
And we did get an official word that they were getting a 3-minute walkthrough for injury to let their players redo their team event and all that. So that is the official word down on the floor.
Okay, now starting this over, the second half action officially starts now. The first heat will be the 450 salto toss. Up first with a start value of 9.4 is Hawaii Pacific.
Getting cheers there on both sides, and
that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Not much you can ask for. There was height there.
Yeah.
It was well executed in the air. Toes pointed. Everything looked aligned. Not much you can ask for.
I saw a lot of spins.
Yeah.
I think spins are good.
450 salto toss.
Yeah. Is that what?
450 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just looked like a spin to me, but it looked good. I like spins. There's a lot of spins, a lot of movement. Good stuff. Listen, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, definitely. And this is kind of the toss area where a lot of gymnasts, this is not what they're used to. Gymnasts are used to being on the ground, kind of tumbling on the ground, so adjustments are having to be made. I've kind of said this before. ETBU has majority gymnasts. They're coming to their sport and having to adjust to be thrown in the air. This is more of a cheer sport. They do have a couple cheer girls, cheer bases, but definitely seeing the cheer side of this sport.
Well, and one of the things that I really like that they were able to capitalize on was, trying to be perfect. And when you're behind like that, everything matters. Every movement, every flip, every twirl, you have to be good. No doubt about that.
Next up with a start value of 8.80 is Texas Lutheran.
So starting point just a little bit below Hawaii Pacific, but let's see if they can capitalize on things.
Yeah, we've seen that be very successful for the Tigers. can see the start value. I was a little bit lower, a little bit less of an extreme flip in the air. I believe it was a full layout twist that we saw at the beginning, and that was just a back tuck.
Yeah.
I believe that was correct terminology. I could be completely wrong.
That's better than me. It just looked like a flip to me. But anyways.
Yeah, great job. Well executed. Like I said, a little bit lower of a start value, but that can pay off in the end. There's been major mistakes made by Hawaii Pacific and not so much TLU. They have that room to kind of take that start value down and be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Hawaii, they're trying to do the risk-benefit ratio. You know, if the risk is high and they're able to complete it, you know, the reward is going to be great. But we've also seen with high risk comes a chance of failure, and that's happened too. But and something that I think the Tigers have strived for, they've been pacing themselves and not doing stuff risky where they're not going to fail. And by doing the little more easier stuff, they've been able to get those sure points, and that's good for them.
Absolutely. Staying in that race with a start value of 9.0 is your East Texas Baptist University Tigers. Well executed, not much to complain about. There was a little bit on the fallback. I don't think there's going to be too many points taken off right there. Can't ask for much better right there.
Yeah, that was good. So right off the bat, you know, we saw, you know, different variations, but I think there was a good showing. You know, there wasn't any something too big that would stand out, you know, not a lot of mess ups or anything like that. So great showings from both groups of girls, and it's definitely going to be a tight race here on out. You know, we know that Hawaii Pacific and TLU, they're head-to-head right now, but got to be sneaky if you're the Tigers. And, you know, when you think about, you know, in terms of race, you got the two fast ones, you know, Hawaii Pacific and TLU out in front. But if you're the Tigers, you just got to keep that pace. You know, you can't take a step back. We saw that with Hawaii Pacific, you know, on that mess up. But if they're able to keep pace and just keep on moving forward steadily, you know, maybe at the end they'll have enough points to kind of be in there and maybe make a good move and dash for the finish line at the end of this meet.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to emphasize this again. This is a building year, so Coach Ashton isn't necessarily coming out here looking for the 10 and hitting a perfect routine.
Yeah.
She wants her athletes to get better. She's out here building this program. I want to say we're maybe in our 5th year here at East Texas Baptist with an acro and tumbling team. And I believe this is her 3rd season as head coach, and she's just doing a phenomenal job with the program, continuing to grow it. She kept this season alive for these athletes.
Oh, no doubt. And, you know, growth is a big thing too. And, you know, whether it's a practice or an actual meet, there's always things to grow on and things to take away and just kind of see what you can do better. And, you know, that's going to be huge for the Tigers no matter what.
Okay, now we're going to head into synchronized toss. First up with a start value of 9.4 is Hawaii Pacific. A good job by Hawaii Pacific. Like I said, the start values are going down, but it looks like they're more focused in. Now they're not trying to be so perfect. They're just trying to get their points and come back. They're not as stressed. It looks like they really took the time that they needed in that halftime to come back and recover. Yeah,
and, you know, synchronized in going into that category, I think things were pretty synchronized for them. And the flips were good. We didn't see any big mess ups. So, like you said, when you set the bar where you think you can hit it, that's all that matters. And I think they might have even exceeded that bar a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I do think there was a little bit of unsynchronized,
especially after the flip. Yeah, at the end. Yeah.
Absolutely, at the end.
Yeah.
I do think there'll be some points taken off right there. Now, next up with the start value of 8.8 is Texas Lutheran.
Yeah, and you also got to think, you know, after those couple mess ups that Hawaii Pacific had, you know, anytime that they're able to complete it without anything like that, I'll definitely be good going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that left side did finish a little bit before the right side. In terms of points taken off, are we talking about big chunks or just maybe just a point something?
I'd say a pretty big chunk with the synchronized, since that's really what the judges are looking for is the synchronized. Can you get your athletes at the same height? Can they do this at the same time? This is all about being in the same rhythm. So I do think there will be a pretty good amount of points taken off, not crazy. They did have a little bit lower start value to begin with because they knew their athletes weren't going to do a full twist in the air.
Yeah. And it's all about, especially here in the back half, you just got to pace yourself and do what you know that you can do, and we'll see what the Tigers now have in store.
Yeah, the judges are mainly looking to judge the flyer. Now, next up, with a start value of 8.80 is your East Texas Baptist University Tigers.
Yeah, we saw the two previous teams just a little out of sync, so if they can really hit that mark on the Flyers, then that might do it here.
So kind of the same thing we just saw from TLU. Right side, I want to say, was a little bit earlier than the left side.
Yeah.
That's okay. We saw the exact same thing. It looks like we're going to have pretty evenly matched scores here.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's in the boat. You know, this might not be everyone's specialty, I guess. But I think in terms of closest, it really could go either way. It kind of seemed like there was just a little bit of a lag on both sides with every team that's competed here. So that will be interesting to see. But, I mean, it really could be anybody's.
Yeah.
Anybody's.
And I want to say being synchronized is the hardest thing to do, being matched up with a teammate in the air. You're thinking about making sure you're flipping, but you are also thinking about matching up with your teammate. That's extremely hard. Now we're going to head into the final heat of this event, which will be the open toss event. First up with a start value of 9.5 is Hawaii Pacific.
I stuck it pretty well.
Yeah, a clean performance from Hawaii Pacific, and that's what they needed in this event, honestly, was just clean performances. They didn't have a single clean performance in their last event, so they had something to make up for. They definitely came out and proved something throughout this toss event.
Yeah, and when you don't set the bar so high, you know, that it still works. That's fine as long as you have a clean performance, and I think that's what's doing pretty well for them. And now we'll see if the Bulldogs can keep it going. And we do know overall in the race, Bulldogs with a good lead here in this meet. So they, you know, if you're the Bulldogs down the floor, you got to keep on competing. You got to be aggressive. You got to keep on keeping on. And you know, if you're the Tigers, you have to pace yourself and hit the mark evenly, and just keep on trying to chew into this lead.
Yeah, I think the Tigers just, if they continue to be consistent, will really have a chance towards the end of this meet. Now, next up with a start value of 9.4 is Texas Lutheran.
It was a really good start there for Hawaii Pacific. So let's see how the Bulldogs can respond here.
Going for the exact same toss, and I'm not going to lie to you, I think TLU might have beat them in that category.
I'm not going to lie. I think the catch was good. The twirls were good as well. I don't know. It was just something about the landing to me that just looked so spiffy, and it wasn't, you know, it was just all there. So I think TLU might have actually done it a little bit better. I mean, both was pretty close to perfect, but somehow TLU was able to perfect it a little bit more.
I have to agree, and I just want to say, like, the judges are judging the whole event off of the flyer. That flyer had perfect lines, toes pointed, and just she had confidence up there. A little bit more, you saw a leg kind of stray away in the Hawaii Pacific toss, so that could take off some points. But now we're going to head into the final event of open toss. Next up with a start value of 8.7 is East Texas Baptist.
Now, if you're the Tigers, you've seen everyone else go, and you just got to clear your mind and try to do the best that you can here.
Yeah, just keep a clean performance, and they can stay in this race.
Yeah, Flyers have done a pretty good job previously.
A solid job by the Tigers. Of course, there's going to be a little bit less of a start value. There wasn't as many turns. I believe it was a full turn from the two other teams, but great and clean job by the Tigers.
Yeah, for what they were trying to accomplish, that was perfect. Not a lot of mistakes, pretty clean. You know, in terms of difficulty, I think we're going to agree that I think TLU and Hawaii Pacific was trying to pull off a little bit more turns, a little more twirls, and trying to keep things perfect for the Flyers. But what the Tigers are trying to do is just keep the bar at a place where they can exceed it. And if you look at that mark, I think they hit it pretty well.
I have to agree. Now, while we're waiting for the combined results of this event and our meet standing, let's introduce the tumbling event. Next up is the tumbling event. The event will have 6 heats. The first 3 are synchronized group tumbling passes, a duo, a trio, and a quad tumbling pass. The last 3 are individual tumbling passes. The start value of each heat is determined by the difficulty and combination of skills in each pass. Officials will be looking for synchronization in the first 3 heats, as well as the continuity of skills and acceleration of the pass, proper body positions during skills, and the body position control of the landing. Now I think we're still waiting for the scores to come in from the toss event, so we're going to go on commercial break real quick. We'll be right back here at Tigers. Alrighty, now we're back here for the first heat in the tumbling event. Is the duo pass. Up first with a start value of 9.25. Hawaii Pacific in number 9, Brianna Corral, and number 37, Leah Johnson.
And as we saw over on the scoring, Bulldogs still out in front, doing pretty good. There we go.
Pretty in sync to me right there, Bumpus. A great job by Hawaii Pacific. That's how you set a tone. They are just coming back stronger. They're proving that they're not letting an injury take them down. They are showing out.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite parts for really either team is just how excited that the teammates on the side get, for the players competing on the floor, I think that energy goes a long way, and, if things are dead on the side, I mean, obviously that's going to reflect on your game and how you're doing in this meet, but Hawaii Pacific, as you said, they're still trying to get into it. They're trying to reclaim the lead, and that energy is definitely speaking that.
Absolutely. Now, this looks to be one of TLU's strongest events now that we're about to see. So it will really have to, I don't know, actually, Hawaii Pacific and TLU will really be matched up in this event. They're still pretty close neck to neck in this fight. Only 4 points away. It could be anybody's game.
Yeah, I mean, TLU out in front, Hawaii Pacific down at second, and then the Tigers, they are at that 90 mark, so I think it's 115 there for Hawaii Pacific, 111 there, 111 for Hawaii Pacific, 115 for TLU, who's in the lead, and then the Tigers, I think, are working around 95 points overall, so it's going to be interesting to see if the Tigers can keep on keeping on, but here we go for TLU.
Next up with a start value of 9.55. That's number 3, Phoenix Causley. Number 20, Grayson Bunch. And that's gonna hurt the Bulldogs pretty bad right there. Grayson Bunch stepping off the mat at the end. That's gonna hurt him pretty significantly.
Yeah, and you can tell that Hawaii Pacific, that's gonna help them a little bit, especially if they can keep things strong and keep on getting points. But
talk
that's
about
gonna
team
hurt.
spirit over there.
Yeah.
Hawaii Pacific still making a little parade for TLU. That's team spirit. They're over there together, and they've just been kind of having fun together. I kind of feel bad that the Tigers are over here lonesome.
I was about to say that. Yeah, the Tigers definitely do feel like they're on another part of this meet, but I mean, this is what I like about the sport. Everyone's congratulating each other and cheering each other on. If this was baseball or football or basketball, you wouldn't see that. You would see the complete opposite.
Absolutely.
You would probably see a little worse. But I really like how everyone's complimenting each other and just hyping each other up. So I love to see that.
I think these athletes respect each other and respect the craft. They know how much hard work goes into this sport specifically, especially for these tumblers. This is not an easy thing to do by any means. Like I said, this is just hard for anyone to do, and these athletes are doing it every single day, wearing out their bodies.
Yeah, well, my mindset is just the fact that they're spinning in circles in the air is a miracle at itself. So I think that's pretty cool that they're even doing the things that they're doing. So.
Yes. So next up with a start value of 7.25, East Texas Baptist. That'll be number 1, Maddie Lozano, and number 14, Elizabeth Holloway.
See if they can capitalize. Stayed on the mat.
Great job by those two. A little double bounce by Maddie Lozano. We still got the bridge for these tumblers to go through from ETBU. A pretty solid job.
Yeah, we saw that Hawaii Pacific and TLU, their routines kind of took them close to the edge of the mat. Tigers had a little bit more work a little bit more room to work with there, but I think the most important thing is that they stayed on the mat and something that TLU wasn't able to do. So there's going to be no points taken off for that. But you did say just a little bit of a double bounce, just a little bit more air than what she wanted. So points might be taken off for that. But I think in terms of right now, Hawaii Pacific, I think out of everyone did a really good job in the last heat.
Absolutely. ETBU lost a couple of their tumblers last year, so they're kind of having to rebuild with the freshmen. Yeah. They have a lot of upperclassmen bases and strong athletes, however, still building up in that tumbling area. Now we're going to move on to trio pass. This is where 3 athletes will do the same tumble pass synchronized. We've talked about it before. This is probably some of the hardest things to do, matched up with your teammates. You're in the air, but you're also trying to be matched up and completely synchronized.
Yeah, well, we've seen that with 2 flyers trying to be synchronized. And well, now we're talking about 3, right?
Yes.
So that's going to be even harder to do. And so you got to be perfect, no doubt, and stay on the mat. And we'll see if this routine for them takes them to the edge or not. So
up first with a start value of 8.7 is number 3, Emma Paulson, number 11, Haley Melville, and number 28, Izzy Fernandez. A great job and a great finish. A little stumble at the end, but overall, pretty good.
Yeah, and then you got TLU and the rest of the Hawaii Pacific team making a tunnel, and I love that effort and sportsmanship,
yes.
and yeah, I think it's cool that with this tri-meet, you have to have two teams on one side for this all to work, and they're being very cordial and just having a lot of fun over there.
Absolutely. I do think that if ETBU could be over there, they would.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They're a fun group over there, too. I just kind of wish they were all together having a big tunnel.
Yeah.
But TLU will get to respond here next up.
Yeah, and I think it was the Bulldogs last time stepping off the mat, so we'll see if they can try and do a little bit better on that mark, but it will be harder with 3, so we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, it was number 20, Grayson Bunch, who actually stepped off the mat. She'll get a second try right now in the trio pass. She'll be going with number 7, Nadia Roberts, and number 8, Glenna Crafts. And,
if you like Olympics, you'll know the floor routine, kind of the same rules. You have to stay on the mat, and, they're looking to see about all the jumps and the spins and all that, so.
All right, with a start value of 8.05, this is Texas Lutheran.
There we go.
That's a comeback right there. All 3 of them beautifully done.
Yeah, I mean, beautifully. There was a little more skill to that as well. I think the difficulty was raised and still had plenty of room there on the mat, so not close to stepping off at all.
Yeah, you can't complain too much with that. A good recovery. Hawaii Pacific a little bit more and a higher start value, but TLU taking the backbone and perfecting what they have.
Yeah, and I think that's the name of the game. Even if you start a little lower, if you perfect that and the other team can't perfect the high bar, the low bar is going to win every single time if you can perfect that and just kind of knock that off and do a good job. And now it's up to the Tigers to see if they can perfect it, and we'll see where they set their bar at.
Yeah, again, we'll get to see number 1, Maddie Lozano, number 14, Elizabeth Holloway, joined with number 8, Eva Dickens. They're next up with a start value of 7.25 is your East Texas Baptist University Tigers. A great job, a nice, clean, easy routine, a little bit of a step out by Eva Dickens, but overall pretty good. Last meet, Eva Dickens wasn't even able to compete that, so a great job.
Yeah. I think in terms of being synchronized, I think it was pretty right on the dot. And, we're up here and we see right at the half line of the court and of the mat, and when they crossed that point, it looked like they were all straight in that line. Looked pretty good. And like you said, at the end, there might have been a little mishap there. But overall, stayed on the mat. Nothing too big that will get torn off with the points and all that, I don't think. So overall, set the bar where they could do it, and I think they achieved it.
Okay, so Bumpus, we've got one more synchronized pass left in this meet. Left in this, we're going to have solo passes coming up right after this, and then we're going to move on to team events. So this is the last time we're going to see synchronized events for a while. This is going to be the quad pass. 4 athletes now will have to be synchronized. First up with a start value of 8 is Hawaii Pacific. Number 4, Merritt Babber. Number 15, Giselle Hovey. Number 20, Sage Price. And number 35, Dakota Kendall.
Yeah, and the more people you throw out there, the harder it's going to be to synchronize. Let's see what Hawaii Pacific can do.
A little bit lower of a start value as well for Hawaii Pacific.
Oh, my goodness. That
was perfection
that
right
was,
there.
Yeah, that was perfection. I mean, look, I might not be the greatest mind in this sport for this meet here tonight, but I can tell when something is synchronized and when something is executed well, and I think that was just that. So
they took the lower start value this time, and that paid off for them. Something I think Hawaii Pacific could possibly take advantage of in the future is just taking time to perfect this, and that was their best pass this whole meet.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And the energy was good. And when you're behind, I think it's good to set the bar where you can achieve it. And I think that's going to be huge for Hawaii Pacific, who is trailing against the Bulldogs right now, and the Tigers in last place. But if Hawaii Pacific wants to come back and reclaim the lead, doing what they did right there is going to help them. Really great execution all the way around.
And this is going to be the lowest we're going to see the start values from all these teams. Like you said, this is the hardest it can get. Four athletes throwing a pass is not easy. So Hawaii Pacific is going to come in with a 7.25 start value with number 3, Phoenix Causley, number 8, Gina Crafts, number 17, Claire Couples, and number 21, Emma Levy.
There we go. Let's see if they can try and compete here with Hawaii Pacific after being almost perfect.
So not bad from the Bulldogs. Not as synchronized.
Yeah,
It was almost a wave effect.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to describe it. You know, from right to left, you had the girls on the right kind of finishing before the very far left. And, that did kind of look like a wave and not what you want, especially with the synchronized. But like you said, it's just hard to beat Hawaii Pacific when they do it that perfect with 4 girls. You know, that's as good as it's going to get. It's already a hard routine to go down on. But, that's going to hurt a little bit. But after all, everyone did stay on the mat.
Absolutely. So not their strongest event from TLU. But we're about to see now the lowest start value we've seen this match in a start value of 6.75 from ETBU. We're going to have these 4 athletes in number 1, Maddie Lozano, number 8, Ava Dickin, number 11, Jaden Stroman, and number 2, McKenna Lockhart.
All 4 girls look to be ready to go here. Yeah, once again, we kind of saw a reverse kind of wave effect there. Not everyone synchronized, but stayed on the mat, though.
Yeah, absolutely. They went down with the start value. They just added Jaden Stroman to this roster. She's a recent addition coming back to help compete in this specific event. So a great job by her coming in and competing. Now, we're heading into individual tumbling passes. Now, these athletes individually who have been working their whole life will get to show off their individual talents. First, we're going to head into the aerial pass. Now, with the aerial pass, it is a single pass that must execute 1 flip before the final flip in pass. 10 points are possible during this event.
And you can see her all the way down the far corner getting ready, trying to rear up the engines and put on the jets.
Yeah, this is some of my favorite, just to watch these individual athletes who I know have been working so hard their whole life, and they finally get to show it at a collegiate level. That's what I love about this sport, is they give these gymnasts an opportunity, an extra opportunity to continue their careers.
Yeah, and this is where you see gymnastics and cheer really combine and go hand-to-hand together here in this meet.
Okay, up first with a start value of 10 is Hawaii Pacific, number 9, Brianna Corral.
See, a little mishap there, but I think she was able to recover pretty well.
That was pretty great. Not even Olympians you've seen recover like that. She did in midair, was able to change direction. That's extremely hard and great body control.
Yeah, and, I think to be able to do that speaks for itself, and I don't know if the points will reflect that, but just as an athlete being able to, make that adjustment real quick in the air, and because we're talking about there was a situation where it could have gone south. She either could have landed on the floor or kept it going, but she had that momentum and was able to adjust midair to keep her going in that routine and not flat on the floor. So that in itself is pretty impressive.
And so much trust that the coach had to have in her to even start with a start value of 10 shows the athleticism and the ability of Brianna Corral in herself. So nothing to be disappointed here. Great body control and a great athlete.
Yeah. And you also got to think, when you start at a 10, you have a little bit more leeway. If you start something lower like 5 or 6 and you're making mistakes, well, the points are going to reflect that because it should be a little bit more of an easier routine. But when you're trying to pull off something like a 10 and you're not able to quite do it, I think there is going to be a little bit of grace. Depends on how big the mishap is. But trying to pull off a 10 is going to be hard, no doubt.
Well, Texas Lutheran is going to come pretty close with a start value of 9.55. It'll be number 20, Grayson Bunch, getting the floor.
And, this is when we're getting to the back half. Each team has to capitalize. You have to be perfect no matter what you're doing. TLU, Hawaii Pacific going head-to-head. It really is anyone's meat right now. And interested to see the scoring and how that's going to reflect things. But it really is anyone's meat.
It is, and especially with these individual passes, these athletes are competing for their whole team at this point. They're trying to get as many points for their team. That's a lot of pressure on an athlete.
Oh, yeah, the butterflies, they got to be going. You got to be a little nervous, but there's something to be said about athletes, always locking in and doing what needs to be done.
Again, this is Grayson Bunch, number 20 from Texas Lutheran. Body control with Grayson Bunch. She has so much power. You can tell she comes from that gymnastics background. You saw her holding on as much as she could to the end of the mat. I'm not sure if they'll count it against her for that last-minute step off, but a lot of strength. You could see it in her core. She was holding on as much as she can, but a great job otherwise.
Yeah, you said it was up there in difficulty with the 9, and it looked every bit of that. And from the start to finish and in the middle especially, not a mishap. When she was going through the routine, very smooth. At the end, you could just tell how much power she was working with, almost bouncing off the mat. She was tiptoeing the line. She was very much tiptoeing the line. It looked like she might have stayed in and then at the end maybe bounced off, but we'll have to see. But like you said, this is when things get to the nitty-gritty, and it is just hard to do this. You have you're putting your team on your back, You're representing the team just with a solo routine going on the mat. So it's going to be hard, no doubt. But overall, I think that was really good, and we didn't see a mishap in the middle.
Absolutely. It was a great job by Grayson Bunch having that control. Now with ETBU, they're going to be sending out all underclassmen for these passes, and I just wanted to make a note of that. You're sending out 2 freshmen and 1 sophomore in Maddie Lozano. This is a young team. They have nothing but to build here. So these scores are going to be a little bit lower. These start values are going to be a little bit lower, but still up there competing with these high-level programs.
Yeah, and a freshman doing her duty here, trying to get things going for her team, going against some really good programs, especially a nationally ranked team with Hawaii Pacific. And, we're talking about some girls over there from Hawaii Pacific that are from all over the world, Canada, Germany, all over the country, California. So there's a lot to be said with the experience that they've gotten all over the world, and all these girls coming together. And just to be a freshman here competing in Marshall, Texas at ETBU, that's got to be exciting, no doubt.
And that'll be freshman number 14, Elizabeth Holloway, with a start value of 7.5, representing ETBU. And if you've never followed gymnastics, that was a beautiful gymnastics landing. You can see it all in her. Great job. She took the lower start value, but she executed perfectly. Not much more you can ask for from a freshman.
Yeah. Yeah, no mishaps, and we do know that some of the harder routines tend to take the athlete all the way to the other side of the mat. She had a lot of room, and she was working with those little flips and not taking a lot of ground with each of those flips and twirls. But something to be said was she was perfect with what she did. She exceeded the bar that she set for herself, and did a really good job with it.
Absolutely. So now we're going to head into the 5th heat of the tumbling event, and this will be the 6 element pass. With a 6 element pass, there has to be 6 elements, including the last skill, involved in a single pass. Now, these start values are starting to look a little bit higher, so getting the athletes in here to show off some of their skills. Hawaii Pacific going again with a start value of 10 and a different athlete in number 28, Izzy Fernandez, to start off their 6 element tumbling pass.
Yep, and last time up for Hawaii Pacific, not how they wanted to start things off, so now just kind of getting a reset and seeing if they can capitalize a little bit better. And with these last events, you got to think when you're representing your team by yourself, that's going to be harder, because we've seen some heats and some events where you literally have each other lifting your teammates up. So you can feel the camaraderie and with each other and the teammates being there to represent. And when you're out there on the floor, you're probably the loneliest person on here at the gym, So there is something to be said, and the nerves can really reflect that sometimes.
Yeah, all eyes are on you when you're doing this single pass. So it's definitely a nerve-wracking event for any athlete to be involved in. And like you were saying, this is a sport that is not only team but just individual as well, where you get to show off your individual skills. So again, we're gonna start the 6 element pass. Up first with a start value of 10 from Hawaii Pacific is number 28, Izzy Fernandez.
See how Fernandez does, and we'll see if she sets the bar high. I don't think she did.
I'd say so. That was pretty impressive. I don't know specific terminology. There was a couple layouts in there, but that's what I've got from there. And a great finish, step out at the end. Can't ask for much better.
I saw a lot of flips, a lot of twirls. She was moving around a lot in the air. I think that's good. She stayed on the mat. If you want just the simple response from me, great, good. It looked really good. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a great mind in this sport, but I like flips. They look cool, and I like the response that she got from her teammates. So that kind of reflects how good she did.
Yeah, I love to see the teammates' reaction and how they're going to support their teammate, whether they succeed in their performance or not. It's all about how you're going back to your teammates and how are they going to support you, either lift you up, back up, or cheer you on and cheer with you.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is a team sport, even when you're doing your single routines. And, we've seen that with Olympics, even when you're just doing your floor routine, you're representing your country. If we're talking about Olympics, you're still, wearing that symbol and holding that team up on top. So it kind of goes hand in hand, even with, collegiate acro and tumble.
Absolutely. So next up with a start value of 8.0 from Texas Lutheran will be once again number 20, Grayson Bunch.
And she's already in the corner, and she's trying to get as much room as she can to really get the engine going.
Looks like that was a sub. And a great job and a great sub for Texas Lutheran. That was number 8, Gina Crafts, a sophomore from Elgin, Texas. So sorry, they must have had that wrong in our script today. But overall, great performance. A little bit low over start value with that 8, but executed well, and that has paid off for every single team that has done that.
Yeah, and what I liked about that was once she first started that first couple of twirls, the speed would accelerate. Once she got in the middle of the mat close to the end, she was going really fast. So it took her a second to get that speed going, but at the end, she finished it. She really got a good response, and all things considered, looked really good. It looked really good from up here. And now it's we'll see how the Tigers can do it. And I think you mentioned before, this is going to be freshman heavy.
Freshman heavy, underclassmen heavy. This is going to be number 1 sophomore Maddie Lozano with a start value of 8.
See if the underclassmen here can represent.
I love the reaction from Maddie. She's one of my favorites to watch. She has so much power in such a small body. That girl is pure muscle. She works so hard. She's a gymnast coming in here, ready to compete for acro and tumbling. She just brings a lot of excitement, and she's just small and fast.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it for her,
Yeah,
with flipping.
And I think that's we saw that too. I mean, she did a really good job with it. And again, you know, these athletes kind of accelerate as they get into their routine, and by the end of it, she was moving. I mean, she was moving fast. Great job from her, and you know, I think difficulty that was pretty up there. I mean, she was doing a lot of flips, a lot of twirls, all that good stuff, and not a single mess up in terms of falling down on the mat or anything like that.
Absolutely. So now we're going to head into the final heat of tumbling. This is, again, open pass. We've seen a lot of these open areas in these events. So, again, I'm just going to reiterate that this is an open single pass. There's no requirements. It just cannot be anything that they have already competed. There is 10 points possible again. But up first with a start value yet again of 10 from Hawaii Pacific is number 15, Giselle Hoovey.
And we'll see what Hoovey's got here for Hawaii Pacific, trailing TLU. But we'll see once we recount all the points. Oh, my gosh.
Wow. Wow. Was that
I can't even count. Oh, my God.
I believe it was 4 layout into a layout twist. That was insane.
See, I was trying to hold my tongue because I didn't want to say anything until she finished, but just the way she was moving halfway through her routine, I mean, that was pretty good. Probably one of the best that we've seen here tonight. And
you even seeing TLU's coach over there high-fiving and cheering her on because you can't not after that.
She was moving. That was incredible. And then, you know, when we see someone with a lot of momentum at the end, that could probably set them off balance. But I think she finished that really, really well. There wasn't a lot of movement or anything off the mat.
Absolutely. So TLU is definitely going to have to respond. They're coming in with a close start value of 9.55 with number 3, Phoenix Cosley, coming in to compete.
And here right now in this heat and as part of the event, it's been neck and neck between TLU and Hawaii.
A great job by Phoenix Cosley. That step off at the end is going to cost her, but she can't be so mad at herself. A beautiful routine. Again, everyone hyping her up in the tunnel as she finishes. Just a great job overall. Yeah,
and, you know, the feedback that she's getting from the teammates. And, you know, before tonight, you know, I haven't really seen a lot of acro and tumble, and especially how both teams kind of react towards each other and stuff like that. But I'm really liking what I'm seeing, just how cordial they are. And you know, just right off the bat, I mean, I think you're seeing the other team congratulate the acrobatic person or the flyer before their own team, and that's really awesome too. I just love that a lot.
That is, and we're going to head into the final pass of this tumbling heat with a start value of 7.25. Again, we're going to go with a freshman in number 8, Eva Dickens. Like I said, this is very freshman heavy. And Eva Dickens coming back into this. She did not compete this in the last meet against TLU. So this is the first time we are getting to see Eva Dickens do her tumble pass.
And I'm just looking on the roster. It says that she's from Virginia. So that is, if that's right, I mean.
Yeah, I think that is right.
Yeah, I mean, that is a long ways away. And, you know, we were talking about Hawaii Pacific and Texas Lutheran. You know, we're talking about teammates that are from all over the place. But here's a Virginian player from Virginia now competing in Marshall, Texas.
And number 14, Elizabeth Holloway from South Dakota. So a couple different far travelers from ETBU.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Short and sweet, but
a simple routine,
yeah.
But what is simple and clean wins the race always.
Oh yeah, yeah, and pacing, setting the bar, and when you can set the bar and exceed it and do that perfectly, that's going to be chalked up as a win. We've said that a lot, and that's just kind of how it goes. And I think that's what ETBU is trying to do. They're trying to build their program and a legacy here for years to come for other girls who are going to compete, and they're just trying to get the job done now.
Okay, while we're waiting for the combined results for this event and our meet standing, let's introduce the final event of the meet. Team event encompasses everything you just watched in the first 5 events. The team event features up to 24 athletes on the floor at one time performing skills in acro, toss, pyramid, and tumbling in a routine set to music. Each routine contains required skills and optional skills, and the start value is based on the difficulty of skills selected to fulfill requirements. Execution deductions are the same in this event as in previous events. Larger deductions are applied if an athlete falls or does not complete a skill. This is a very fast-paced event, so be sure to keep your eyes on the mat.
Here we go. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into that, I mean, the scoring is going to be huge. And, if TLU finds themselves behind or Hawaii Pacific finds themselves behind in that 2 spot, you have to unite as a team, and you have to make up that ground. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be out in front going into this last event because it's going to be all she wrote, and you have to leave everything on the mat, especially when this is the last thing. So.
And there's a lot of ground to cover as this event is 110 possible points. So any team, if this team event goes well, can really make up some points. Yeah, I mean,
it really is like a make and break it. If things go south, then you might give up your lead, but if you're a team that's behind and like ETBU in the 3rd spot right now, if you just absolutely kill it, and if this is your anchor and this is what you've been putting all your work into, they've done a really good job of like pacing themselves and giving themselves enough points to set themselves up for this last part. That if they do a great job, like you said, like what 100 something points,
110 points.
Yeah, then that's definitely going to be really good for them if they just kill the competition.
Yeah, ETBU hitting that bare minimum of 18 players on the mat, so they will not have a super high start value. Like I said, this is a rebuilding year. This team is growing. So just going to continue to see that start value go up throughout the years. And honestly, throughout this year, you see this team already improving. I've seen the start values go up as a team overall.
And we're about to get the scores right now, and we'll read them off the board real quick, but this will be interesting. The duo, that's going to be Hawaii Pacific there on top, 8.95. And Hawaii Pacific hitting the trio as well. 7.60 for Hawaii Pacific. So right now, Hawaii Pacific really killing things. Send the bar high, 8.35. Oh, Texas Lutheran there. So the aerial right now is the only thing that Hawaii Pacific has not won. 9.525. Yeah, Hawaii Pacific is. This is going to be a big event for them, and points are reflecting that. So Hawaii Pacific will come away with 51 points overall, winning that event. Go to the totals. Oh my goodness, just 1 point. But talk about Hawaii Pacific. I mean, they needed that so bad, and they capitalized on it. And now we're just talking a 1 point lead.
Neck and neck Not exactly what I was expecting coming into this
No,
meet.
yeah.
Honestly, I thought Hawai'i Pacific was going to dominate. TLU had something to prove. They had already lost this week. They were not looking to come in. They're still here to compete. Now we're on to the final event with a start value of 98.44. Please welcome to the floor Hawai'i Pacific University Sharks. A great performance by Hawai'i Pacific University Sharks. Overall, really clean. We did see a couple of falls, a huge major fall. If you were a little confused throughout this routine, they did have to mark a few spots where they had a player injured, and there's not much you can do about that. I believe the judges will take that into account where they had to mark, but unfortunately they will probably lose some points.
Yeah, and you hate to see that an injury on any side, and that unfortunately does have an effect on the team, especially when the team as a whole is competing. You have to fill that up, but the thing is now for TLU, they know what they need to hit. They need to be perfect. If they can go out without a single mistake or just a few less mistakes than what Hawai'i Pacific did, that might win it for them, because we're just talking about a 1-point lead for Hawaiian Pacific. And, there is some good things with going first and setting the page, painting it and setting the bar high. But when you also make mistakes, that kind of tells the other team what they need to do. And if you just stay perfect, it might be the Bulldogs coming away with this meet.
Absolutely. The Bulldogs will have something to prove here. They almost have to be picture perfect to pull this win off. They do have a higher start value than the Bulldogs, so they have to pull it together. I do think they still have a chance, and I don't even want to count out the Tigers just yet.
Well, especially with the amount of points that they can get if they get close to that max, that's going to be more than enough to get them back into this. And, I mean, everyone's a competitor. Everyone in this event, no matter what position you're in, 1 through 3, you're going to be able to compete. And the Tigers going last, so they're going to be able to see what TLU has to offer. And if they need to make some mid-adjustments, then they will. And we'll see if they can offer the best that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. After I saw TLU's team performance last time, it was great overall. I see a little bit in a raise of the start value since the first meet. So just continuing to get better throughout the season. This is already their 3rd meet of the season, only the 2nd for the Tigers and the Sharks. So next, with a 9.45 start value, we are about to welcome Texas Lutheran University Bulldogs to the floor.
And just everyone just trying to shake out the butterflies. This is what matters, and I think they know that they got to be perfect. You hate to put a lot of pressure on that, and
there's just athletes out there being constantly used. Like I said, these programs are building, so these athletes who do come in with a lot of experience, for example, for the Tigers with Maddie Lozano and Elizabeth Holloway, those girls you've seen continuously used today, and I'm sure especially Elizabeth Holloway is tired and ready to give up. Think about the fight and the endurance of these athletes. That's what they are having to go through. Grayson Butch has been used so much for the Bulldogs as well. I saw her kind of cooling down and getting used. She was in almost every single pass. Every single tumbling pass. So I completely understand having to take that rest, take a moment, catch your breath, and get ready for this final event.
Well, yeah, if you're the Bulldogs, this is all she wrote. This is your last chance. You're behind just by 1 point. And if you feel like this is the time to leave everything on the mat, then it is. That's correct. You got to put everything on the mat. You can't leave the mat with stuff still inside, like you still got something to prove. You got to get it all out and play with like you got a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, you see Hawaii Pacific even cheering on the Bulldogs, their own competitors. That's what you got to love about this sport and about women's sports, just supporting each other in this growth of this sport. That's what it's all about. And these athletes have done such a great job in showing sportsmanship.
Yeah, and, the judges probably just taking some time now to make sure they got everything. And, TLU will have some time here to get prepared a little bit more. And, they're just dancing over there. In terms of being calm and collected, they're up there. I mean, they're doing some line dancing. They're even the head coach there. So
yes. She's just so fun to watch over there. I've been watching her this whole time. A lot of personality, and that shows in the team. I'm a true believer on your team reflects your coach.
Yep.
And I believe her team does, and having fun and being energetic throughout this meet. Same thing with the Tigers with Coach Ashton. They reflect her so well.
Yeah, and if you're not having fun, it's impossible to be good at what you do if you don't have a sense of fun in it. Those things go hand in hand, and that goes with every sport. You got to be good, you got to be serious, yes, you got to be professional, but you have to have fun, especially in these light-hearted moments. And we're seeing TLU doing just that. And if I'm a competitor and I'm seeing my opponents, just looking as calm as can be, that's gonna frighten me a little bit, because it kind of seems like they know what they can do. They're very calm and confident in their abilities to perform there on the floor. So that's also got to be a little bit of a factor as well.
And that shows just how much confidence that the coach has instilled in these athletes. You see the confidence and everything. That is because the coach has built them up and made them into the athlete and team that they are. So great job by all the coaches today in showing these athletes that they are great.
Yeah, no, just once again before we get started, we'll paint the picture one more time. Just a 1 point lead here for Hawaii Pacific. So they're up by 1 point. Really anyone's game between anyone and max of 110 points. So this will be good for the Bulldogs to take the lead. And, yeah, we did see a couple mishaps on the other side there for Hawaii Pacific, but that does have to do with that injury that they had earlier. So just trying to fill in those holes. But, just excited to see and, ready to get this going. I'm sure the girls are too.
Yeah, I guess let's talk a little bit about the requirements for this team event. So there will be 30 acro elements required, 5 tosses, 4 pyramids, 1 jump/standing tumbling pass per number of athletes on the mat, 1 running tumbling pass per number of athletes on the mat, and then additional, they will be scored on routine construction, dance, composition. Is 50% of the team must perform 2 8-counts. So here is TLU with a start value of 90.45. And that was Texas Lutheran with their final event of this meet. It was pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you.
I think they killed it, and I think the best thing that they probably did was the energy at the end. I think that sealed the deal for them. I mean, did you see very many mishaps? I mean, I don't think I saw.
I saw one step off the mat.
Yeah.
Just one, and that was the only thing I've seen. My favorite thing of that whole thing was ETBU cheering on their former teammate as she was succeeding. That's another thing of sportsmanship. You just saw that team get excited for another team. That's what this is all about, coming together, building together. So great job by TLU, and put up the numbers, honestly, to compete for the winner of this match.
And I think with the game on the line, the meet on the line, I think they came through, and I think the points we'll have to see, but that might reflect it. And with what they needed to win and all the energy, I think they brought it. I mean, I really enjoyed it. There was flips all over the place. the energy at the end with that little dance routine and the pyramids. We didn't see any falls with that or anything like any of the flips. And now we see both sides just really getting into it and dancing before we get into this last routine for the Tigers.
Yeah, you see the Tigers finally getting pumped up, excited. This is the final event of the entire meet. How can you not be excited? Coach Ashton over there dancing, having a blast. That's what I'm saying. This is the energy she brings. She reflects it with the girls. So this is going to be an exciting ending to this meet. It's already been, but if I had to pick one team that has just been consistent throughout this entire meet, I'm going to go with the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on because when the thing about Hawaii Pacific, when they're good, they're amazing. When they do something really hard and they succeed in it, it's probably the best thing that you've ever seen. Like, it is unbelievable. But the thing about the Bulldogs that you got to watch, that they are consistently putting up numbers that will help them at the end. And that is the most important thing, and that's what the Bulldogs have done a great job on. And they've also done great routines that are like, wow, that's amazing. I don't think I've ever been able to see something like that before. So they're bringing in that level while also consistently being good. And I think that's going to help them at the end. And I think that was a really good point that you brought up. But one more thing that I want to bring up, the head coach there for TLU, the way that she was just jumping in the air, getting fired up during the routine, I mean, that got me fired up. That made me want to, cheer everyone on. I mean, it doesn't just get the team fired up. It gets the fan base fired up. It gets the broadcasters fired up. That's awesome.
It was a different energy when TLU went out there. I want to say than the whole meet. That one kind of stuck with me the most out of any event that's happened so far. Just TLU, you could see the fight. They wanted to be out there. They were having fun. That's what this competition is about.
Yeah. And then now it's just all down to the Tigers. And like we said, I mean, this event can help you or hurt you. And right now, looking like it really helped Texas Lutheran. And it didn't really hurt. I don't think it's going to hurt Hawaii Pacific a lot, but
it's going to be a close one.
It's going to be a close one, no doubt. And I think TLU is definitely going to benefit from it the most. And if the Tigers can somehow just really lock in like they have been tonight, just kept on being perfect in terms of being consistent and exceeding the bar that they've set, then that's going to be huge for them. So excited to see what they can do here on the floor.
And just like that, we're about ready to introduce the final event of the night with a start value of 79.46, the East Texas Baptist University Tigers. And just like that, that is the end of our meet. We still have the scores to come, so don't go away just yet. But a great job by the Tigers. A couple mishaps happened. We had a couple falls, a step off the mat, which will be pretty bad deduction right there. But other than that, the Tigers held it together and just competed pretty well.
Yeah, and that's what you need. I mean, to be able to compete and not give up. I mean, we've said it so many times, it's easy to throw in the towel, after messing up. And I think it takes more courage than anything else to keep on going and not giving up when you know that you've messed up, and that might mean some point deductions. But to not, just throw in the towel. I mean, I think that's huge for the Tigers. And you've said it. I mean, this is a rebuilding year, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think that just means that that setting the standard and just trying to get better as a program in years to come. Trying to build a program that you want girls graduating high schools to be like. I think ETBU would be a great place for me to go and do acro and tumble. So this is where it starts, just trying to build that program.
Well, congratulations to all the competitors today. We're going to take a quick break and come back with the final score, so we'll be right back, Tigers.
extremely good at what they do, and they would set the bar high. And when they exceeded the bar, they did fantastic. But I think the name of the game for the win here tonight for TLU was knowing their strengths, knowing their weaknesses, and setting them up for success. And that's what they did, and they're on top, and a great job from them.
Absolutely. The Bulldogs showed out today, the most consistent team on the mat. A great job by the Tigers, though. Just improvement as we're continuing to see. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight from fans all the way from Honolulu, Hawaii, here to Marshall, Texas. We're saying goodnight from Ornelas Gymnasium. Thank you and good night.